I recreated Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA, so let's take a listen. Hey everyone, welcome back to Make the Music, and today I recreated Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA using some basic plugins and instruments to try and recreate that classic record sound. It's one of my personal favorite records, although I do a lot of metal content on here. I love talking about Heartland rock stuff, classic stuff from the 80s. I think it's just a very infectious sounding record. It's got amazing 80s style production while also sounding super raw, like it's a band playing. So that was a difficult challenge when it came to recreating this track. But we're going to dive into the session. I'm going to show you everything that I did. And if you'd like to see me try any other tracks, leave a comment down below. But let's get into this session here. Okay, so this is my Born in the USA session. First off, I like to always talk about what I've got going on in the master chain. Specifically, I've got Virtual Tape Machine from Slate starting off. This is a 80s analog style record. Definitely going to need some tape emulation on there. Virtual Mix Rack. I've watched all the Bob Clearmountain stuff on how he mixed this record, and he's definitely got some analog flavor going on. I think the console I selected was the Brit 4KE for this one. And then I've got some EQ on the master bus, real light. There's not a lot of ton, like super top end on this record. So took some of that off, dipped some of the 3K out, dipped it really subtle here on the master bus. I'm using the SSL compressor. I have it on the analog setting. It's doing probably 3 to 4 dB of gain reduction, I want to say. Remember, this is a classic sounding record. It's not ultra compressed and limited and crazy volume, right? This is not how they did records back then. It wasn't really a victim of the loudness war. So I tried to preserve as much of the dynamic as possible. I've got a limiter, but it's just not doing a whole lot. A little bit of limiting, just matching it to the original track, and then a little Tone Forge DI match, which is just applying a bit of an EQ curve. So this is everything the master bus is doing. It's just getting everything present and glued together, but nothing too insane. Now let's get to the drum tracks. For drums, I actually use the Ergotone Arena Rock drum kit, which is one of my favorites. Not a lot of people know about the Ergotone company, but they provide a lot of amazing plugins. I'm going to flash a picture up here of the Arena Rock set. They have like a Born in the USA preset that I use. I wasn't able to transfer that plugin to this computer. I actually bounced down the stems, but it's from that kit. I'll flash a picture up there. But for the entire drum kit soloed, it sounds like this. So this is how I was able to recreate that 80s Born in the USA gated drum sound. First, I have Virtual Tape Machine going on the drum channel, then Virtual Mix Rack. Adding some shimmer and thickness, a little compression with the 1176. It looks like a lot, but the mix knob is all the way down at 12%. So nothing crazy. If I take those off, it's just kind of gluing everything together. The only other thing on the snare track, what I've got going on here is I've got a few plugins here to really try and get that crazy gated snare sound that the song is so famous for. All I'm using is SSL channel. A lot of the sound came from the actual Ergotone Arena Rock kit, which just kind of perfectly fits that. I boosted the reverb quite a bit on it. It wasn't quite bright enough, so that's what I did with the SSL channel. I took out some low mids, added some highs. On the kick drum, use the SSL channel to get rid of some low thuddy mids and add some low end. Made the kick a little more present there. So that's the drum sound there, and then all I have is a shaker and tambourine. I'm not 100% convinced there's even a tambourine, but I can definitely hear a shaker in this track, so I added those as well. And so even in the intro, the drums sound like this. So I've got that intro gated snare sound there. So that's the drum sound I went with. Let's talk about the bass guitar. Real simple playing here. It's a cool part though, if you listen to it. It's not even an amp track. It's just a straight DI that I recorded. But I'm adding some distortion here with the virtual channel to add some interesting layers to the DI. using the EQ to give it quite a bit of top to kind of, have that stringiness to it. Virtual tape machine to give it that analog feel, and now I'm compressing it really hard with the 1176. So you can see this is doing a lot. If I take all the plugins off, it's a DI, it's fine, but not interesting, doesn't fit the track. Now it's super punchy, fills out the rhythm section really nicely with the drums. This record is really top end heavy. There's not a lot of low end or super thuddy subs, so the bass is not turned up that high. Now let's talk about the electric guitar tracks here. All together, they kind of sound like this. Again, this record is a lot rougher and garagey than it sounds from the offset, and you can definitely hear that in the guitar sounds that I have here. So I have the Bruce left guitar sound. This is supposed to be Bruce's sound here. I use my Fender Squier for that, of course, and if you listen to the tracks, he plays it super rough, and almost is bending some of the notes out of tune. It's really cool. Here, let me play my performance of it. I'm not sure if he used a Marshall, probably didn't, but it fit the tone for what I was trying to do. You can hear I'm really playing that aggressively. Then there's a right guitar. Played a little more delicately. I'm using the same Marshall sound, I just turned the gain down quite a bit. Then I have a primal scrub sound, which is like almost a DI sound. You can see I'm driving it super hard with the virtual mix rack and the 1073 pre. And I'm using the SSL channel to take off a lot of the super top end, add some 4K bite in there, and then just rolled off. Oh, I didn't even use a high pass filter, so. Right, it's essentially a DI sound. Then I have a chorusy sound on the left. I use the Slate Overloud plugin with some chorus, and all the guitars kind of combine to make this really great sound, which I have the SSL channel on all of them, boosting the top. When I got them all in the mix, they just need to be more aggressive and garagey and almost annoying sounding. Now I'm using this free reverb plugin called Adverb. This is great, just add some ambience to it. So if I take the plugins off, it sounded fine, then I added that 4K and it really gets present with the rest of the band. So help it jump out of the speakers. I have one acoustic, it's a 12 string, it sounds like this. I used my Slate ML1 microphone for that, and then just threw virtual mix rack on. Really not a lot of processing here. Added some top with the SSL style EQ, rolling off some lows here, taking out some low mids, and then using the limiter. I add some KHS chorus just to make the sound a little more interesting. So the raw acoustic sounds like this. It's fine, but it's boxy sounding, right? And then I do this. That's gonna help it cut and live with the other guitars. And fit in with the rest of the track. Let's get to the synth parts. I have quite a few here. There's actually a lot going on synth production-wise on this track. So the first thing I have is this sort of low piano sound, which you can hear, which that's with Anna 2. Then I have this sort of piano part playing the synth part. I didn't have their keyboards. I wasn't able to match it 100%. I did my best. I spent quite a long time trying to get the perfect sound. It is what it is, but I did my best there. That's another Anna 2 patch, which comes with the Slate bundle. For that patch, I use on the Anna 2 patch, I'm using Virtual Mix Rack to add some top, even some compression. Have it kind of just like fly and jump out of the speakers. Adverb, Transient Designer, and then a stereo enhancer. So if I take everything off, it's fine, but this really makes it exciting. Then I have another one underneath it. Like almost a phasey sounding one. So all the synths kind of sound like this. I have more stuff that comes in during the verse parts when everything finally kicks in. I have even more parts there. There's like a honky tonk style piano being played. It's a DSK, the grand patch, and then I'm using an additional synth wave. Underneath it's almost adding some low end. So the band sounds like this together. And those parts are kind of repeated all throughout the track. Now let's get to the vocal. I did my best here. Bruce is just one heck of a vocalist. I mean, just he's so aggressive and he's got so much feel. Just spits fire when it comes to those vocals. I did my best here. I don't think it's a bad performance, but I'll just show you how I kind of mix this thing. Born down in a dead man's town. My goal here, so I recorded through some compression. You can see the vocal is actually pretty compressed on the way in. I believe he recorded right into an SM58. So this is everything I'm using on the track. Virtual mix rack. Using the SM7B, I found that model to work a little better just for me. And then I'm driving these channels hard. The vocal's pretty distorted and pretty compressed. It's just super aggressive. Shimmer and thickness, the distressor. EQ-wise, just taking out like ultra sizzly highs. Stock compressor on this thing. I'll show you how much that is doing. Hometown jam. Not a lot. The 76 is doing a lot of work. Got in a little hometown jam. 10 dB of gain reduction there. A limiter. We'll go to a different part here. Born in the USA. So I'm using the limiter there. A de-esser to really, if you're adding that much top end, aggression, distortion, all this stuff, you're gonna need a de-esser. It's just gonna get super, an S is just going to take your listener's face right off. Born in the USA. Using CLA Epic, I really played around with these settings, trying to get the delay and reverb to sound like the original record. Born in the USA. Bob Clearmountain's obviously just a freaking genius. Added some more reverb here, and then I used Silk just to get rid of even more harshness. So if I take all the plugins off. Born in the USA. Now. Really tried to perform it as aggressive as possible, but of course if I throw everything on there. Born in the USA. I was born in the USA now. Born in the USA. I was born in the USA now. So that was my attempt at recreating Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA. Let me know, how does it sound? Do you like how I did my recreation? I thought it came out pretty good. Fun one to do, of course, a little different than what we usually do on the channel here. So it's fun to change it up. You can learn a lot from any style and any genre of music when you try and recreate it. So if you want my free guide, which is called the Home Studio Toolbox, I give you a bunch of free tools that you can pick up to help you create more and better music in your DAW. So you can pick up that guide for free. It's in the description box, and get access to all my other free goodies as well on my website. Like and subscribe to the channel. Let me know what other challenge, what other band or artist or song would you like me to try and recreate. This is a lot of fun for me, so leave a comment there. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.